Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts,
Selector George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We continue our coverage of the Age of Madness trilogy with A Little Hatred, and we cover The Poor Pay the Price, The New Woman, and Lost Causes. So let's get started. As usual, folks, you know we have to thank you for your support, your continued support, your undying devotion. We love you. We love to see it. We love the comments that we are getting on the podcast apps that you listen on. And just want to remind you to follow us on our social media platforms, our YouTube pages, and our
That's it.
well, that's pretty much it, right? I was gonna
That's it. Yep.
say an
Our
inappropriate
social
joke.
networks.
Yes, our social networks. So with that, we're gonna go right into our community interaction segment, which, folks, this is kind of like beating a dead horse at this point, but get on that Reddit,
Would you like?
get on that subreddit. Go ahead, Harrison.
I was just gonna say I will. I know that we talk about getting on things, but I will say I'm as far as I know, things are going in my direction at work. So hopefully I'll have more time.
Mhm.
And my goal is to do some more stuff for the First Law.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
definitely a big goal of mine. So hopefully I will find the will.
Find the will, the wherewithal.
Harrison will have to go back and fill all of the beams that didn't get made for this one.
Retroactively. do all
My
that work.
first goal.
And I had a lot going on personally within the next 2 months that should clear up because it's been taking up all of my time on the side. So I will be able to join Harrison in providing more content for podcast listeners. George, he's a brand new man. Don't worry about him. He's the art collector.
Yeah, don't you fucking worry about him.
He operates in the
We'll
shadows.
deal with it. We'll deal with it.
He
It's
operates in the shadows.
But as for the meme in every chapter, all the ones that did get made, I think it was mostly to Bloody Niner and Taco Tuesdays and Hummingbird Butcher who made most of those. So thanks to you guys for that. Provided endless entertainment.
Yes.
And also, I think by the time this episode comes out, there'll only be 2 memes left. So
Only
you missed
2
your
left.
chance. If you're listening to this and you've got FOMO, it's your own fault.
That's right.
Yeah.
How dare you?
It's your fault.
You did this to yourself. So with that, we'll move on to our first chapter read-through, and this is The Poor Pay the Price. Boys, this one's pretty funny. Obviously, it's you have the not so much the participants in the uprising, more like the reluctant ringleaders that they found themselves being the ringleaders after Judge and Rizanao and everybody else kind of like fucked off. Oh, there's no food here. Everyone's starving.
Yeah.
Oh, and the army's at our doorsteps, and I got to negotiate with the crown prince. Oh, and the superior pike of the Inquisition. Great, right?
Yeah, it's the people that did remotely the least amount of damage. The people left holding the bag at the end. It's the way it turns out for these guys, you know. With spoilers in mind, I think that's probably intentional that they're getting rid of the moderates, so that when the rate change does happen, it's only the insane people that are left.
Yes, unfortunately, I also think that is definitely true. The Purge. It's actually, they thought it was going to be the Great Change, but it was the Great Purge of their own group.
Yeah, which is wild.
Which is a real life thing now.
Yep.
It's happening in real life now in many places. Get rid of anybody in between, anybody reasonable, so that way your ideology is the most pure.
Yeah, because that's the way ideologies stand the test of time, right?
They definitely don't do anything bad.
Yeah, totally. Totally don't do terrible things in the name of progress or justice, right? Anywho, so I did like this one bit in the beginning where Broad asks Malmer if he trusts Orso, right? Because they were like Pike didn't like this shit at all in terms of negotiations, and he goes, "Look, it's not. I don't know. So I don't really have a choice to really trust him. However, I will say he does seem decent enough, far better than expected considering." And I was like,
Mm.
"Wow, our boy Orso, just being the likable, lovable Chad that he is, right?"
It's great that everybody likes him from this point on in the story. Everybody loves him so much.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'll,
It's
I'll
pretty
never
cool to
change.
see, and then, it's totally like that's not gonna backfire on Orso at all in
Mm.
the next 4 chapters or something like that. Anywho, and I like how Sorrelby and Malmer they're upset because they thought they were doing something good, right, with this at the beginning. They thought they were
Yeah.
taking their people, the downtrodden, the lower class, up out of poverty. That was going to be the goal, right? They were going to change things at least around in Valbeck, and not really what happened there. And they were just so upset about like how things turned out.
Yeah,
Like
I
how,
really like that side too. Like Malmer was like a deviant. He was basically probably causing slight unrest, and it's so tragic that he, with pure intentions, was just like, oh wow, this guy's offering me a position to maybe actually do some good, and he genuinely believes this, and it's even sadder that he's just like, what a fool what a fool I was to
Mhm.
think it was just this easy. But I love Vic's dynamic here because she feels for him too, but she knows that there's something else. She knows that she says that she's like, there's no way that he could have orchestrated this. So Malmar, who the fuck is the Weaver? And
Well, that's not when she says this here. She says this during the chapter later on.
But he is right. Vic basically says, it's the after all this and all the damage that's been done, it's not the rich that are gonna actually, be the ones that are paying for it because of the
It's
people
the
that work
poor
there
pay
and
the
live
price.
there. The poor pay the price. Oh, that's the name of the chapter.
Yeah.
holy shit, I'll connect.
And I like how when Malmer says it, it triggers like a memory for Broad where he thinks back to Muselia after the sack and how it
Mhm.
was the slums that were looted and pillaged and people were murdered and the palace untouched on the high ground. And, he spits and he's like, always the poor pay the price. And it kind of just, it's almost even in, I guess what Joe's like talking about here is kind of like the desire to institute a great change, as somebody might say. Um, the first ones to always suffer, and honestly, a lot of the times the only ones to suffer are the people you are trying to supposedly uplift.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some rich people did suffer here. I mean, but
I mean,
otherwise, yeah,
some,
it's mostly the people that had nothing to
some,
do with it that
some,
suffered.
but the system doesn't change necessarily. And if the systems do ever change, right, you kind of notice that people in positions of power tend to find a way to transfer their power
Hmm.
and transfer their standing into similarly like lateral positions.
Yeah, I mean, like with most major revolutions, is the way it happens. What comes after is just sort of a shadow of what was before,
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
which is a shame.
and it's interesting
It
because
is there's some difference, but I like things do change over time in different ways, but it is tragic at the end because it's normally the same thing just with a different color palette.
yeah,
So got a reskin, yeah.
and it's interesting. Like obviously, when it's time to file out of Valbec, give surrender, quote unquote. They come out in columns, and looks like Orso's army has women handing out food, bread, and things like that, right? And people are like, "Holy fuck!" And they're rushing to get the food, which is great. But they also have to give up any kind of weapons. Even a shoemaker has to give up his knives. And he's like, "What do you expect me to do?" And he goes, "I don't know, man. If you want food, you got to give
Yeah,
something up."
I like Broad's statement, how he's like, it's like after everything they've been through, they're all just willing to just do whatever they say for some bread. When you're hungry, at the end of the day, we're human beings, and
Yeah.
basically, there's two things that we'll be like, yeah, whatever, I'll do whatever you want for this thing. It's either going to be love or food.
Yeah.
We'll do anything for those two things.
I do like that line. It's like, you might be killed, or there might be soup.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shane was it more or less worked on Broad.
It is.
Yes.
That's so funny. And they're walking up the column. The column's moving up, right? And then the Inquisition, the practicals are pulling people out of the column here and there. And they're not it's enough to make people nervous, but apparently they're not doing it in a manner that is too like, oh my god, they're grabbing us. And there's
They're not like they're not like grabbing them and axing them right then and there. They're like
they're
grabbing
like,
them
come on,
so that
they're like,
everybody can still see them, and they're talking to them.
yep, and there's an inquisitor there, and he's like, calm down, calm down. His Highness the Crown Prince has offered a full amnesty. There are some questions to be asked and some questions to be answered. That is all. No one will be hurt. You have my word, the word of Superior Pike, and the word of Crown Prince Orso himself. And it's like, oh, look at this, dude. Orso's really just changing things up around here. And
He really is a new man.
he is. It's so beautiful. And it's Liddy, Broad, and May, and Artie, aka Savine, in the cover, Hannah Montana here, and they see that Savine, Savine, just walks out of the column and walks towards the practical, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And then she goes up to the practical, and she goes, "I am Savine Danglotta, daughter of His Eminence the Hachlector. I demand to speak to Crown Prince Orso at once." And the Inquisitor stares at her. The practical stares at her. Everyone's staring at her. And he's like, "What?" And then Broad noticed that there was something different about her voice, right? Just the way she carried herself with this, and how her posture was and everything. And then she goes, "At once," again to the Inquisitor, and he says like, "Okay, of course, absolutely."
It's like that. The practicals are like that blonde guy meme where he's like raising his eyebrows, like, "Excuse me," like. But I like how Broad notices too, like, he's never heard her speak this way. He's never seen her look this way. She is like this is the way things have to be. She's like commanding, as we all know. For some reason, Joe always points it out. She has got a long ass neck. She's craning up like a fucking giraffe about to eat some leaves. She's like, "Give me Prince Orso." The guys are like, "Wow, she's so commanding." Yes, ma'am. I like how they're like. So she's like, "These three. Oh, by the way, these three are with me."
Yeah,
And they're like,
yeah.
"Well, we can't take everybody." She's like, "That's fine, but these three are with me. You can leave everybody else to die. I don't give a fuck."
And she's like,
But
"I
these
must
three, I made a
insist."
promise to.
Mhm.
And I don't know how you guys feel about this. It's fairly surprising that she did that. That she said these three are with me. Actually, if you think about it.
Well,
shit, it was a deal. A deal's a deal.
a deal's a deal.
What's the deal?
Here's the thing. We know her to be a ruthless businessman or businesswoman. Sorry, businesswoman.
How dare you, Jeffrey?
Sorry. Maybe I'm so woke that I just saw everybody as the same. I don't know.
As a
Anyway.
man.
Equal as a man. The way it should be.
God damn it! Oh no!
You've gone full circle.
Back to being misogynist. Oh. I think she, as ruthless as she is in her dealings as a businesswoman, she's always been. She doesn't. How do I say this? Change terms of a deal or back out unless it's the end of the deal, right? That kind of thing. So she hasn't shown herself to lie necessarily. I don't think so. She's cunning, she's ruthless, she's all these things, but if she says a deal's a deal, her word is bond.
We don't ever see her go back on a deal. She she takes the absolute piss out of some people by giving or technicalities and things like that,
Right.
but
Or
never actually straight up does not what she's going to say she's going to do. You know.
mm-hmm.
It's true. It's true. But, for the perspective of what kind of person she is, you would think that maybe she wouldn't actually be that way, if that makes sense. Like, she's, like, what she's been through, she doesn't want to go back. It just makes you feel like she's actually changed. And we'll get into that more later.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I remember first time hearing this, like, oh, she didn't just give him up because it's easy. It would be easy to do that for her.
Mm-hmm. And I like how as they're pulled out and they go with Savine, the practical hisses at them at Broad, and he's like, "You better hope this girl's telling the truth." But Broad is so confused. He's like, "I'm as surprised as you are." To the practical,
I like it earlier as well when the practical's like, if she's not who she says she is, we'll soon find out. But the world feels like a brighter place if you believe in people's fundamental honesty.
well, that was the Inquisitor. That was the Inquisitor.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean. The Inquisitor. That's what I mean. Well,
And
that's such a good line. You could just say it. You could imagine him saying it with a completely deadpan face, just like,
Well,
yeah, okay.
But he does. But Joe follows it up where he goes, "He offered his hand with extravagant politeness." Like, that's such a funny way to describe that to me. And then I like how
he's like doing like a curtsy equivalent, like my time, right this way,
my lady.
But you know what? The Inquisitor is he's kind of the goat,
He's yeah, he
Can
is.
you imagine if he was like, kill them?
Yeah.
What's the matter my face?
Well, to be fair, the Inquisition probably know that Savine was there.
They do know that. Mm-hmm.
They'd be on the lookout for her. So when she comes up saying that, they're like, okay, well, we've got to take everyone that says that, don't we?
Like, fuck. Who would know? Ah.
Yeah. How many other people do you think have done it? There's been anybody else?
You know what? The Inquisition knows that Savine's there. I don't think many people in Valbec knew she was there, except for the few
the Broads. Well, for little May anyway.
May. Who else? The
Valamir.
Valamir, his wife, and Rizanau. So
yeah,
true.
Yeah,
true.
And so basically, I do like.
Although you say that, but a lot of people were actively looking for her when the riot started. Right?
That's true. I think they were. That's true.
I think a lot of people knew she was in town, so she's pretty popular or infamous.
But it's gonna be hard to be, to pretend like be an imposter of Savine Dan Glocta, a very popular, well-known woman in high society. That as soon as someone that knows Savine meets you, you're fucked. So anyway, I did like how Broad, as they're pushed towards following Savine, her and Lydia are like, what the fuck is going on? And then Broad goes, did you know about this, to May? And she goes, of course I did. I arranged it. And they're, what did you do? You bloody what?
Bloody what?
And May, I like this because this ends the chapter here, but I like this line. She says, what I had to. It's high time somebody put this family first. And that is such a damning statement to make about Broad and Liddy to an extent, right? Where but mainly Broad, I think, Gunner and Gunner Broad to his actions had led them to Valbec, right? I mean,
yes.
Wait. Now, granted, the whole thing with the feudal landowning system, the farm not being theirs anymore, the land not being theirs, whatever. Yes. However, consistently, signing up to go to war, and then when he returns, he kills.
Well, he may have been conscripted. To be fair to him.
Oh, true. He may have been conscripted, right? But then killing.
He obviously enjoyed it.
Yeah, and killed those guys that came calling, to collect.
Yeah.
Could have just done something else, and then had to move to Valbec under extenuating circumstances, right? So May is like, I'm gonna get us out of the gutter.
Yeah, and Broad for he also has this. I caught this, and I thought it was interesting. Whenever he thought about like arguing about going with them, and if it was a bad idea, he thought, well, fighting them may get himself killed, and also maybe his family. And then right after that, she's like, I'm putting the family first. I thought that was so well, just a little. He does think about himself first. The fucking bastard.
Yeah. Yeah, because he wanted to punch the practical that pushed him after Broad was like, I'm surprised as you are. Practical was like, shut up.
He's like, I could kill this guy.
Yeah, he can. He can. So what do you rate this chapter, boys?
I'm going to give this one, I'm going to go for a 5 and a knuckle. It's very short, but we get just the conclusion of the Breakers' tenure as the leaders of Baalbek.
The tenure. I love that.
Yeah, and obviously, I love that Inquisitor. He's such a little character, but he's like, he's so funny.
I'll give it a 5. Short. Like George said, the culmination of their short-lived run as the governing body of Valbec. And you see Malmer Sarlby kind of come to grips, right, with basically what this whole thing led to, which was a whole lot of fucking nothing, and honestly, probably worse outcomes for everybody in Valbec, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And seeing them come to grips with it. And they did truly have a desire to do things for the better. Sorrelby obviously had some more resentment towards the upper class, which understandably so. But Malmer seems like he just wanted better for his peers. So give it a 5. Harrison?
I think this is one of my favorite Broad chapters because it's him being contemplative and him being like a little bit more honest with himself instead of making excuses. He's just like, yep, we lost. This reminds me of my sieges. I think it's just contemplatively written well for that. But at the end of the day, it's a necessary chapter to move on to the next things, and it's a good filler chapter. So I would say it's 6 out of 9.
We did a sequential rating there. I like that. So now we'll move on to our next segment, which is our best meme of the week. Georgie boy, that's you. Take it away. Yeah.
So this week we have additional West 6210, who's got the meme of the week once or twice before, and I think I like this. It's the one time I felt happy at the end of the book, and it's how it felt seeing Temple and Shy become better people and get a happy ending, and it's the celebration from Squid Game.
Yeah. Yes.
Finally, somebody got out intact.
I know, and then you get to the later thing, and it's not like they're we hear some rumors about them, and it's not like, oh, they're now divorced, and they had 4 more children, and they all hate each other. Now it's like they have a successful business. You're like,
yeah,
oh my god,
yes.
it really is true.
Yes.
It does happen.
Love it.
Maybe if it happens to them, it could happen to me in real life.
Oh man, and that's one of the other reasons why I love Red Country so much. Is like as fucking bleak and as wild as that book is, and Joe that's such a great just an ending for a book.
Yes,
we get beautiful endings for Shy and Temple. Rowan Pitt might have some trauma to deal with and work through, but and then Lamb rides off into the sunset. We don't worry about the dragon people. They might be wiped out or might not. Yeah, whatever. Don't worry about that. I just think, God, I love that book so much. All right, sorry.
Fantastic.
Yes, fantastic, Ray. Thanks so much, Additional West, for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And so we'll move on to our next chapter read through, which is The New Woman. And this is Savine's perspective here, and she's in this. She's in Crown Prince Orso's tent, right, awaiting the prince. And she's traumatized. Let's just call it what it is. She's traumatized. Her experience was a harrowing one. I think the first time I read this book, I didn't give her experiences enough credence, right? Like I didn't think, I thought, Jesus, relax, girl, you survived, right? You made it out okay. But then that was unenlightened Jeffrey. Enlightened Jeffrey is like, man, first of all, seeing people she kind of knew, even if she didn't really know Valmir like that, uh, get beaten. So the death of that one guard, right, in the the gears, that grinding machine or
Yeah.
whatever it was,
Ooh.
being chased by people with the intent to murder you. At the very least, that's what she could
Yes.
assume, right? Swimming and crawling through muck and sewage and all that stuff, and only surviving by being taken in by the goodwill of a couple of random strangers, right?
Yep.
Seeing and also seeing her handmaid. Oh, what was her name? Lisbeth.
Lisbeth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lisbeth, the carriage driver. Seeing them get swarmed. God knows what happened to her. Do we even know what happened to her?
Nope.
Definitely dead.
Yeah.
I yeah, I think you're totally right that it's like one of those things that whenever you're reading a story, like, okay, sometimes it's hard to remember that that's a character in a story, and you're not just like, okay, we get it, they're traumatized, because we like to summarize things in our brain. So,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
I love
Right.
that scene whenever she's thinking like that man being pulled into the gears. We get the first glimpse of her that really traumatizing her. It pops up in her mind several times, and it's true. Sometimes those they strike you at the most random times. Those traumatic moments.
Yeah, and it's like when she thinks about this, she goes, all she felt was a constant nagging terror, more like a hostage taken than a prisoner freed. As bad as when she had fled through the crazed streets of Valbec on the day of the uprising. Worse, because then fear had made sense. Now she was supposed to be safe. Isn't that what PTSD is basically all about?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I like how when she hears voices outside the tent and somebody's going to come in and she knows it's going to be Orso, she there's a slight part of her that thinks about posing in a certain posture like she would have before, you know, shoulders back, you know, head held high,
All
all that
regal,
stuff,
like,
all
yeah.
regal like, and she just doesn't even try.
And I hate how when he looks at her and like flinches, and the first thing she thinks is like, "Oh, he's disgusted." He's like, "He's never seen me like this before," and also she's like, "You okay?"
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that moment too, whenever he says, he's like, he's like, you look so good, or whatever. And she's like, what the fuck? I love that because, as you guys know, whenever you with somebody who you love, it doesn't really matter how they look. You just love them and everything. And so whenever, if my wife wakes up and she uh, in her mind looks horrible. I'm like, oh, you're just as beautiful as the day I met you. That's Orso's equivalent right now, and I love that she does. She has the classic like, I'm disgusting right now, objectively, and she thinks that he's just like. He thinks that she thinks that he's just trying to make her feel better, but he genuinely believes
Means
that,
it.
and I
Yeah,
think that that's
especially
really awesome. Yeah,
yep, especially when
yeah,
you're saying, Harrison, he's holding her eye. Like he's looking
yes,
right into her eyes, like, mm-mm, baby, I mean this. Mm-mm.
yeah.
She doesn't even know what to say to that, right, Harrison? Like when at some point she changes the subject almost, and she goes, "So there were people with me, a family," and Morrison's like, "Don't you worry about it. They're safe and taken care of. I make sure of that." Mm.
Daddy's got you.
Ooh, don't in this situation, man. Hold on. Let's be careful about using things like daddy and and this what he should be saying is big bros got you.
Well, isn't she older?
Yes, she
Little
is.
bros got you.
Little bro.
Just like Benna.
And then just like Jesus Christ. And and I like how she so one thing that she does do is because because Orso does say what we were just talking about. He says you don't have to worry about anything, and she kind of goes, not worry, because all she's doing right now is worrying. And she apologizes. She goes, I'm sorry you had to come up here. I know how much you wanted to go north. And he goes, when I heard you were in danger, I didn't think twice. I didn't think once. I was coming. And also, your dad and my dad probably weren't going to let me have a choice anyway. But it's probably best I leave the North to men's men like Leo Dan Cock. I think we can all agree I'm not really cut out to be a soldier. And then they talk about how the uniform looks great on him, yada,
Which
yada.
I bet say, like, the fact that he's so self-degrading. He's like, I'm not cut out to do soldiering, but we see him a couple times display natural strategic ability, and we'll see him do it again so much more in the next book. And mean on the battlefield as well. So it's funny he says that whenever it's just like not really true. So
Yeah.
he is very capable.
Which is why I will never forgive Joe for making me fall in love with Orso. I created this podcast just to eventuality get close enough to Joe so I could strangle him. Anyway, now that I've I laid bare my true motivations. Sorry. Anyway. So look, he at some point, Savine's realizing that she could back there was a time where she might have just been able to kind of like continue like have small talk for hours and hours, but she can't really bring herself to do that. And he says that he apologizes that it took him so long to get her to find her. And he said, and then he continues that
great that he says that, because she just right before that moment is like, she knows it's irrational, but she's like, why did it take him so long to get here? And then he immediately follows up with like, I'm sorry it took me so long to get here, even though he didn't receive that negativity from her. I just
yeah, and then
fantastic.
and he looks into her eyes with an intensity she could not stand to meet, and he says, to realize what I feel for you, I don't see how things can carry on between us the way they did before. And she's like, of course not, because how can anything be what it was before ever again, right? Because she's thinking about what she went through. She thinks she might not feel enough anymore, right? For anybody. She thinks she doesn't look good, obviously, because of all the fucking mayhem she's gone through. And then he's struggling to say like that's why, right? And then he says, I want you to marry me, after she says spit it out, and he's like, shit, this isn't how I planned it, I'm sorry, I only have a ring. And she's just astonished, she's just staring at him, she's like, what? And he goes, I know it's crazy, but I love you, it took me this to make me realize, but hear me out. And she didn't have any words to interrupt him with. And I do like this whole thing. He goes, I'm shit without you, utter shit. Everyone knows it. But with you, I have the chance of being a worthwhile person. I didn't come here to save you. The idea is fucking ridiculous. I came so that you could save me. I'm the last man you'd pick as a king, I know. But you, bloody hell, Savine, you were made to be a queen. There's no one I admire more. You have all the brains and the guts and the ambition I don't. Imagine what we could build together. Well, imagine what I could watch you build, Queen Savine. It even rhymes. And she goes, Queen.
Oh, he's more right than he knows.
Oh, he has no idea.
It's such a good like dialogue. Like his little speech to her is so well written. It's still him not having any belief in himself, and he's putting that on her, but he's also right, that they would make a great team. She would be a great queen, how he feels about her, and all of it in an absolutely like honest way.
Yep. And this is the one time I would allow incest. I'm like, all right, go for it.
I mean, when he says this speech, Joe does such a good job, because whenever he says this little speech to her, you feel as well, and you're like, when you're like, you can't help but get caught up in it too.
Because
like Savine, you're caught off guard.
Yeah, and especially like this, where she goes, he could have had anyone, but he wanted her, and not her money, not her connections, not her wigs or her dresses, jewels, not the idea of her, but her. At her worst, even now, even like this, not just as his lover, as his wife, as his queen. It's like, oh, and then she doesn't even know what to say. And because words are failing her, she burps. And he's like, fuck, I'm sorry. You don't have to answer. You don't even have to think about it. I shouldn't have asked. I'm an asshole. Take all the time you need. Fuck, shit, I'm terrible. Is there anything you want? You want some water? You want he's doing all that.
Some water, yeah.
And he turns, and he's about to leave. He turns, and she grabs his wrist, and next thing you know, they are kissing, and it's not elegant. And well, they normally when
Go
they
on,
do the
Jeffrey.
shaboing boing, what no, when they
Boing,
normally do
boing.
the shaboing boing in Swarbeck's office, it there's a pattern, there's a routine, there's a dance, right? You do this, I do that. We
Yeah,
meet
they're
here, we pass messages, and then
yes.
yes. Now she's legitimately dragging him by his cock to his bed and just fumbling. And she's like, "You look great in this uniform, but get out of it, baby." And he's like, "I'm trying." And then it just kind of pokes out through his trousers and then she's like turning behind, like she's turning her back to him, so they're kissing over the shoulder. And this is weird because we're talking about brothers and sisters, but it's like, is this turning me
We
on?
don't have to think about that right now.
And
They
then we
don't
don't
know it,
they don't know it. So it's exactly, it's because of their ignorance. Like this is like an kind of a pure but impure moment. It's just this is like
Yeah, it's
romance
amazing that Joe manages to make us like feel relieved and happy for them, even though we know.
even and disgusted at the same time. Like, oh, I have conflicting feelings about this myself.
Yeah.
And basically she's riding that boy. She is riding him.
Yeah. I think that too, like Joe, this is the first time we've seen a sex scene in a while. And Joe makes it a very, like, he doesn't just do sex scenes for funsies, right? It does make you uncomfortable to a degree, but really this is such a well written, I was telling George before we started this episode that like this is one of my favorite like romance scenes. So this is a romance scene, not just a sex scene, that I have ever like read, just because it is so, I think it's so well set up, and they really are. I mean, we hate it, but they really are perfect for each other. In this moment, at least, and that's what leads to so much tragedy later. But I like too. There's this parallel with how they were before. Swarbrick's office, like you said, there's like a dance, but also like in the physical actions themselves, they were just doing, oral stuff for the most part that we saw at least. They were very much like, okay, I please you, you please me, let's talk, let's banter, let's have a good time. And now it's all, I want to touch you, I want to feel you, I want my body on yours. It's so much more emotional. And having that juxtaposed to the first time we see them together, it's just really, really well done. I think it's the best sex scene. I'll reread this again. uh, it's true, Jeffrey.
Oh God. George, did you have anything to add
You sound
before I
just
end this?
you sound just like Temple. Oh God.
Oh God.
God.
No, it's great. It's really good. It's so uncomfortable, and yeah, I don't know. You kind of want it to not be true, so that they
Yeah.
can be together. But this is Joe Abercrombie, so we
This
know
is
that can't
Joe.
be true.
I wonder where he got what he was thinking when he got this idea, right? Was he just like in a pub, in a coffee shop, and he's like, "Oh, you know what I'm gonna do?"
I figured it out.
Oh my God. So basically the ending paragraph is: no ambitions or manipulations, no fretting on what happened yesterday or what could come tomorrow, just his breathless grunts and her whimpery moans, eyes closed and mouth open. By the fates, she sounded like a cat crying to be let in. She didn't care. She let go of everything. And that's the end of that chapter, boys.
She also mentions she mentions the fact that like it was just like in those storybooks that her mom pretended not to read, which we've
Oh
seen
right,
Artie
she did
read
mention
too, as
that.
the
Yes,
original
yes, yes.
trilogy.
Yes.
That and this is one thing too about it that I was like, wow, Joe really does know how to write these love scenes really well, because in a lot of stories, especially modern day, it's like we have to have this subversion of reality, this expectation. Oh, she's a girl boss, and she is a girl boss, quote unquote, by the standards of our modern day weird culture that we live in. But that's not the point. The point is that she's with somebody she loves, someone who she can be honest with and open with and vulnerable. And she does get that feeling that you're supposed to have whenever you're with somebody like that, somebody who saved you, somebody who loves you. And I just think that is such a good point to make in that, instead of it just being like a physical thing. It is like she's been swept off her feet, and it's totally justifiable.
Yeah. That inherent feeling of you've achieved the romantic ideal, right?
Yes. Yes.
So that's good. That's good that you pointed that out. Thank you, Harrison. Thank you. I appreciate that. With that, that's the end of that chapter. Boys, how would you rate the brother sister fucking?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. It's way better than Benna.
Benna. Oh my God, Benna.
I think it's a really good chapter. I love the fact that Savine is so. This is probably the most introspective about herself that we've seen her, at least, while she's because she didn't really have a lot of time to think about things in Valbeck, and before she was only really thinking about how to slither to the top of the snake pile and all that. So the fact that this is the moment where she realizes like exactly how much it also means to her and all that, I think it's pretty good. I want to say I'm going to give it a 7.5.
I'm gonna give it a 7 as well. 7. Great chapter. A little short, but there's so much to unpack here. Obviously, with Savine's inner dialogue, and I like what you had just said, George, about that, about Savine, and all she's been through, getting what she wants. And if you think about it, in the beginning of that, we know Savine, her whole thing was to get to the top through her machinations, through her ambitions, through her dealings, right, as a businesswoman. But here, she's, the idea is like, oh, she's going to get what she wants to get to the top, but through love. And I think that's a funny like workaround there. There's a parable there somewhere. But so 7 out of 9 fingers from me.
I'm gonna give it an 8 because I think it's just really, really well written and set up, and
wow,
it really is just like you're like the. Yeah, I do.
Jeffrey,
do you have pants on?
I do, in fact, like sex. This may be controversial, but I enjoy sex.
Especially between siblings.
Hey, silence, Jeffrey. This scene, is one of those scenes that, yes, in context, everything we know, blah 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 blah. But that's not the point of it. It's like a meta thing as well, because the characters themselves don't know, and the characters themselves are purposely living in this moment, and you just get caught up in it. I think it's really well done for that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that, boys. So due to the character spot segment, we're going to actually go straight into the third chapter read through, which is Lost Causes. And boys, if we thought there would be some hope for our boy Malmer, that has been extinguished. Because Vic goes into this. I guess they managed to have a room somewhere in the like a tent, right? Am I crazy?
Yeah, it's his big tent pavilion.
Yeah, but there's a door. There's a whole door. Maybe they've already gone back to.
No, because in the next chapter, it also goes out and sees Pike, and they're still outside.
You know what? Since they surrendered, they probably just went to Valbeck, and they probably went to the the Inquisition branch there. That's probably what that is. So anyway,
good point.
So Vic gets in, tells the practical to go, and she takes off the bag off this prisoner's head, who's sitting chained, naked, as usual, as the Archlector here knows. It's Malmer. And
boy.
And Malmer looks at her, and he's not even like, he's hurt. You know what I mean? He's not angry. He goes, "Oh my God, you're one of them. Never would have picked you as the one. Would have picked you last of all," which is just a testament to how good Vic is, right?
Yeah. Vic lives her role, doesn't she? And that's why she's such a good spy.
And she goes. She does mention like how, if you keep a hold of baggage like shame and pride, you don't last a week in the camps. And so like, oh, that's still true. She goes, "Yep, my entire family." And he goes, "Well, then how could you even work for them?" And she goes, "You got it backwards. After what I've been through, how could I not work for these bastards now?" So, and then Malmer goes, "Oh, we were promised amnesty. Is that true? At least." And she goes, "That's true, but you must have known there'd be questions."
Mm.
And so the whole thing here now is Vic is here to ask him about where's Risen now? Where's Judge? And he doesn't know. Marmer doesn't know. And she goes, "Look, just give me something I can give them to help me help you." But Marmer's like, "Do you think I wouldn't hand over Judge if I could? A crazy bitch."
She is a crazy bitch.
And then Vic asks him, like, "Who's the Weaver?" And Marmer says, "That's what Rizanow called himself when we first met." And so Marmer explains that he was arrested for agitating 5 years ago, maybe 6. All they did was band together to ask for a fair wage, but he got the blame. Seems like he has a talent for that. Rizanow came to him in a room like this one, said he saw things their way, said he wanted to help, strike a blow for the common man. That's what he said. Bring a great change. Right.
All
And
connected.
yeah.
It's
And
interesting
then
that it's been going on that long, though. 6
yeah.
years. It's a
It's
long
probably
time for big plans.
which, I don't know if we really want to talk like deep spoilers just yet, but I think obviously these plans are in motion maybe not long after the last argument of Kings.
Well, if
I
you've
know
read The Great Change in Other Lives, we know that it is.
Yep.
What? I didn't read that book. What?
The one with the short stories.
Oh, no, I'm saying
Well,
I
we
know what book.
see.
I just didn't read it.
Oh, so in that, spoilers for anybody who hasn't read that.
Jeffrey.
I don't have it. I don't have it. Jesus
I'll,
Christ.
I've
I'm just
got the
messing with
ebook on. Anyway,
No, I'll buy it. I'll buy
yeah,
it.
in the just to spoilers for you, Jeff, is that in that we see Glocta's perspective and we see him making plans for the Great Change, and then we see Savine when she's like 10.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
So we know it's been going on for decades.
Okay. So yeah, so there you go. And then Vic says, I think that Rizanow was a fool. He might have presided over the chaos, but there's no way he planned it. He said the Weaver was a name he borrowed from someone else, someone who set him on this path. And she knew it was thin, but she's like, it's just a loose thread here. And like, that's just enough for, and she's like, I need to dig deeper. And so she's asking, she goes like, what do you owe him? He used you all, a blow for the common man. Come on. Who is the Weaver? And Malmer he's looking at the tabletop and he's thinking now because she made him think, and he's thinking past. And he goes, there was a man at the first big meeting I went to. Rizanow was so respectful of him, awestruck almost, like a priest who'd had God turn up at his service. Rizanow pointed him out while he was talking, called him the founder of the feast, the reason we were all there. But he didn't say a thing, just watched. And he goes, who is it? Who was it? And Malmer goes, never heard his name, never really saw his face. And then the doorknob turns and a practical walks in. And it's not really a practical. It's Superior Pike. And he's like, hey, buddy, how you doing? Well,
She has her answer and just doesn't know it.
I like exactly. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I like Pike's line here, and especially like the delivery from Stephen Pacey's like, "Well,
this is cozy." And then she, but she goes, Superior Pike, in honor. That's great. Can we I just need to figure this out. And he goes, well, first of all, the honor is mine. Remarkable work in Valbeck. Subtle and bold, cunning and courageous. Without you, this uprising might have had a far bloodier ending. But I should not be surprised. His Eminence has always had the trick of picking the right person for a job. You're too kind.
That's great subtext too, because he's like, I'm the guy, I'm the guy for this job.
And then look, she goes, I just have like a few more questions. We were right there. We're just a few more questions I can get to. And he goes, I would love to watch you work, but His Eminence wants you to return
I
to
got things to
Adua.
do.
Yeah, he wants to congratulate you personally. I'll take care of this. She goes, oh no. I really, I would love to do this. And he goes, no, enjoy your rest. No one could say you have not earned it. I will uncover all that can be uncovered. Trust me.
As the practical is unfolding, instrument. And poor Malmer, man. What the fuck?
Yeah. And then so she turns towards the door, and it's she even calls it She calls this out when she gets to the door. Because Pike says to her, "We should talk at some point, you and I." And apparently, Pike was one of those people with a nasty habit of calling you back just to show you he could. Uh, and he goes, about what? He goes, "There are many people in the Inquisition who have spent time in the prison camps of England, but most of them held the keys. And those few of us who spent time on the other side of the lock should stick together. We should remind each other of the lessons learned there." And she says that they're always at the front of her mind. And Malmer is staring at one of the practicals taking the instruments out of the case. And she did like Malmer from the moment she met him, and she did not enjoy this scene one bit. And she knew it's always good to just leave when you have the chance to. So she dips, and she hears before she closes the door, Pike say, "Now then, Master Malmer, was it? I think you were saying something about the Weaver." And then the door closes. Now, chapter ends. Would like your ratings, but I do want to ask you boys this: who do you think Malmer was going to describe?
I think he was going to describe Pike.
I think if he'd have seen any of his burns or anything, he'd have said that.
He said he never really saw his face.
Yeah, but I don't know. It could have been something.
But what if he?
I mean, we know that it's spoilers that there isn't really any other like in betweens, is there? It's Rizanal uses the name and Pike uses the name, and so does Glockter in the end. But it has to be Pike.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe he was wearing a mask.
Here's the thing. Never heard his name. Never really saw his face. So there's only a couple ways that Malmer could describe this person. Either somebody with a very burned face that walks in, or somebody in a fucking wheelchair or like couldn't walk. Because Glockter,
yeah,
or had the cane, right? He had the cane at the time.
I don't think Glockter would go to a meeting though.
I don't know, dog.
Because he's immediately recognizable. Everyone knows who he is.
Everybody knows who he is.
Everyone,
I think it was Pike.
Maybe. Okay, Pike.
Because
so let's say Pike.
We know that Pike directly is the one who quote unquote recruited I can't remember his name for some reason. The guy who blames everybody, the guy who ran off.
Rizanal.
Yeah, written out. So he we know that, as we see in the next book, whenever they reveal themselves, that they're all him and Judge are both like, "Oh, Lord Pike," like they report to him directly, and Pike is the one doing that. So if he would, and Pike, and he thinks that Pike is the Weaver, so Pike comes and goes to this meeting. He's probably all hooded up. He's like Yuri Sulfur. Oh, you know what I mean? He's got a pretty recognizable face too, obviously, but if he was being disguised. Also, we know that Pike is a fairly big individual, very imposing, as we know. So, anyways, I think it is.
Okay. All right. So how would you rate it?
Go ahead, Harrison.
I think that there's so much subtext with Pike, how he mentions here at the end, those of us who were on the other side of the camps, not just the people who worked for the camps, need to stick together. I love the ominous of that. The fact that he genuinely is like, "Oh, you were digging into this some more. Interesting. You maybe like in Pike's mind, he sees her as like a really good person to join him in their cause, as we see him start to do in the next book. But in her mind, she thinks that he's a it's a bootlicker, super inquisitor. He's all about the state and everything. But they both have the same like cause, like, I'm not going to side with the losers, I'm going to be in charge. But Pike knows that, like, it doesn't have to stop there. You can take it the next step. You can make a change. That's we need to have a conversation about that. At the same time, though, look at how much Pike and Glockta have done and sacrificed to get to this point. How many people's lives have they ruined? How many lies have they told? How much of themselves have been corrupted? which is again a testament to Joe later on. And I'll bring it up a couple times. How at the end Glocter's like, become the Archlector, become the person, and she rejects it because she's seen everything. She's seen the cost now, and so this is just all set up for that. It's just such a good arc for her, and I really like that moment. So I think I'm going to give it a 7 and a knuckle because it is fairly short, though. I just really love the subtext here.
Yeah, I was gonna give it a 7 and a knuckle too. Pretty much
I'm
for
gonna
all
go
the
to the same.
Yeah. So trifecta. Love it.
Hey.
Yeah. Short chapter, but really well done. We see Vic's desire to get to the bottom of things. Obviously, everything out in the future that you just laid out, Harrison. The one thing that does kind of holds it back from an 8 from my mind is just why doesn't Mulmer say anything right there to Vic?
Because he wasn't sure that he fucking sees Pike, the superior of the Inquisition. He was thinking. Also, what would he have said? He doesn't actually know who he is. He never saw his face.
Right,
He's probably a fake name anyways. It wouldn't have mattered.
well, he never heard a name.
Mhm.
I mean, he never heard a name, so he was going to
Also,
describe the individual.
the same shit. Also, the same shit happens with Glocta inside the first book. He's like, who's and who? What do you mean the banks? And the guy's like, I'm gonna kill myself instead. Same thing happens,
Right,
and I think
right.
that's
Okay.
I think that's a parallel back then too, which I think is really cool.
That is actually a good call.
You know what I think might be the thing that Marlborough recognized? Maybe it's his voice. Because the first time maybe he speaks at this meeting, and then when he comes to the meeting with Orso to do the negotiation, maybe he starts to go, "Oh, that's weird. He sounds similar to someone I know." And now, like when he sees him again, he's like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?"
Yeah, also, too,
but it would be funny, wouldn't it? It's like it would be funny if the end of this chapter was
wait,
like the last thing Vic heard before the door closed was, "Wait, it's him."
That would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. Now, here's the thing. Mulmer does say he never said a thing. He never said a thing.
Oh, that's true.
He
that's
does
true.
say that. Also, it was 10 years ago, probably, or if not longer. Like, it
5,
was a long
6 years,
time ago.
5, 6
So
years ago.
Yeah, he said 6.
Oh, 5, my bad. Yeah, so it's still a long fucking time. It's hard to remember shit.
I want to see something. So we'll move on to our character spot, which is our boy Superior Pike. Boys, what do we want to say about him?
Yes, Salem Ruse.
Yes.
You've been with us since the first chapter.
Salem Ruse.
It is.
And he had the hots for Glocta back in the day.
Yeah,
probably still does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably still. I mean, obviously he does. I mean, look what he's doing. What a maniac!
He gave him his revenge.
Yes.
But we talked about this before we started the podcast. But it's great that Pike it speaks with all this subtext, like you said, Harrison. That you know, every decision that he makes and every look and speech and sentence can just be read in a double way, where it's like he's preparing for the great change, and he's also trying his best to make sure nobody else finds out, which is probably why he ends up killing Barber specifically as well, because he might know who he is.
Yeah. He's just, I mean, we've talked about Pike before. We talked about Salem Ruse. He really is just such a, he's like the the inverse of like Shivers, right? He's they've been through the whole series. They've changed a lot. They both have these facial scars. Shivers has learned, like, things are going to happen, life is going to go a certain way, but at the end of the day, these certain things matter, these little moments. Pike is like, yeah, these little things happen, that's fine, but that's not enough. We need to stop this. We need to make a change. Pike never gave up on that idea that things could be better, and he's clung to that. And I just think that is so cool how he seems like he's the villain, but he's actually the most ideological, like, this, like, what I don't know the best term would be. He's the most he's the biggest believer in the cause, right? He's the one who made the things happen. He's the one who is like, no, we can make a change. I just think that is so so cool. Like, he is such a unique, epic character. He's so intimidating, but he also he's doing all this because he believes in a greater good, and that's so cool. He's not an evil bastard. He's He's too ideological.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
I mean, it's probably such that he's been through so much after going to the camps that he was already sort of broken, so that when Glockter showed him that they could actually probably do some good, it's his final chance to like make things right, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll obviously there's some stuff we're leaving out now, but
Yeah.
what a bloody character!
We're gonna have to bring some things back up in the next book, or but
Especially because he's obviously far more important in this trilogy than he was in either of the first two trilogies. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, like he saves West's life, and then there's that kind of spat with Glockter at the end, and that's sort of it in the first book. I mean, it's a shock that he turns out to be who he is, but he doesn't actually do that much. Whereas here, he's one of the pivotal points of the story.
Yes. And that's crazy too, the fact that like he's done so many small things with character decisions and all that, and how much of it has affected the other characters. It's kind of wild.
We all should have known something was up with Pike back, and not to continuously call back to Red Country, but back in Red Country when they were the Inquisitor there, I forget his name, was Lawson,
Yeah.
where they were negotiating with Casca about, all right, we want you to do this now, go out into the far country, and Pike is there on the carriage just feeding birds with bread. I'm like, only a sinister. There's an
What a maniac.
ominous man right there. That's some shit that plotters do. They feed birds with bread. Should have known that.
It's true.
Yeah, he may as well be eating a goddamn apple.
Yeah. Should have known. Oh God. Anyway. So Superior Pike, Salem Ruse. Well, Salem Ruse, we hardly knew ye. Superior Pike, we are going to continue to know ye, apparently. Thank you for that. Thank you for that character spot, boys. Well, that's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support means oh so much.
Join us next week as we cover The New Man, Two of a Kind, and Empty Chest.
And make sure you follow us on all of our social media or shoot us an email at circleoftheworldpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast from. And please make sure to rate and review us, as it helps. Thank you all again for listening.
Well, this is cozy.